Hey everyone, today we are making what I hope to be a viral Cajun shrimp boil bin. So a boil bin is gonna be seafood in here. Just like you would go to those places with the boil bags. That's pretty messy to do at home. Also messy to sit on the couch and try to watch TV or watch games, eating food out of a bag. So at home, we're gonna do it in a boil bin. So it's easier to eat and easier to clean up. Throw the bin away when you're done. So first, we need to make the stock that we're gonna use for the Cajun sauce. So in the freezer, I have been collecting shrimp shells, lobster shells, ends of onions, garlic, whatever, making a Ziploc bag so that I can do a stock. Once the bag is full, you have enough to make at least 4 to 6 cups of stock. So we're gonna put that in the pot, boil that for a couple hours while I go finish working. So the next thing I'm gonna do is get all my spices out for the sauce. And so I'll give you a little sneak peek here. Once we get the butter sauce going, we have onion, garlic, everything from Old Bay, Creole seasoning, red pepper flakes, cayenne, mustard powder, hot paprika, sweet paprika, oregano. We're gonna put all of that in with the garlic, onions, butter, and then finish it with some seafood stock. Let that boil and reduce, and we'll have a nice Cajun butter sauce. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with my stock, and we'll be right back. All right, we're on to the Cajun butter sauce. I'm gonna start with chopping up some onions and garlic. Depending on how big your garlic cloves are, there's no measurement really for this, how much garlic you need to have in your sauce. But I always say the more garlic, the better. So if your cloves are small like this, I would maybe count that as a half. If you get a head of garlic where you have bigger cloves, then maybe like 6 to 8 garlic cloves. So we're going to crush these and dice them up really fine. Mince the garlic. Get a little of your frustration out. This is the worst part, peeling them. Okay, over to my stove now. I'm melting 1 stick of butter in this pan here, and I'm gonna add my onions. This is a very large yellow onion, so I only did half of the onion, and I actually put the other half of the onion in my stock over here. Why waste it? So as the onion cooks down, we want these onions to get really soft so they just dissolve into the sauce. So to help them, we're gonna give them a little salt, a little pepper for seasoning, start building our flavors, and a little bit of Old Bay. And your heat is on medium about this point. Keep stirring around, let all the butter melt, and let the onions get nice and translucent. We'll come back to those. Okay, so my onions are nice and translucent. Show you that in the pot, nice and soft. I'm gonna add my garlic. And remember, there's no exact measurements to this. You will taste it at the end to get the final product that you want. So the garlic just needs a second. Okay, so now for our seasonings. About a tablespoon of the Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, about a tablespoon of hot smoked paprika, about a tablespoon of sweet smoked paprika. And now we're gonna go teaspoon of the next couple things. Mustard, red pepper flakes, oregano, and cayenne. Okay, let those spices toast with the onions and the garlic. Now we're talking. We got a nice paste going. just for a minute. And now we're gonna add about a tablespoon or so of Worcestershire sauce. And you can see how much I have left here, maybe about a cup. I'm gonna do half a cup about of the Valentina sauce. This is the yellow label, so it's a little bit more mild. They do have a black label, which is spicier, so depending on what you like. All right. And we're gonna start off with a half of a lemon. All right. Stir that up. The last thing we're gonna do before we add the stock, it is called Cajun butter sauce, y'all. So we started with 1 stick of butter. There goes another one. I mean, what did you think was in the sauce, right? Here goes another stick of butter. This is unsalted butter, so we can control the salty level at the end. A seafood boil does like salt, but you still want to be able to control it. So this is going to melt in with all of our spices and hot sauce and Worcestershire, and then it can sit. When the seafood stock is done, we're just going to take about a cup to 2 cups of seafood stock, put that in and let it reduce down, and that's going to finish our sauce. So I'll let this butter melt. I'm going to put the lid on it, and we will come back to it when the stock is done. Okay, so after about 2 hours or so, here's my stock all reduced down. You see the level of water there, and you see this nice rich color in the stock. So you're gonna just drain all of this. Now you can throw all the scraps and everything away. And to our sauce here, I'm heating it back up. And I'm just gonna use the ladle for today. I'm gonna strain it to freeze it later. I'll show you in a second what I do with that. So I'm just gonna add some of this stock to my sauce pot here. Start with 4 ladles and see how that goes. So we're gonna bring this up to a simmer, and then we're gonna go ahead and taste it. Maybe I still have all of my spices and seasonings out here, so we can always add some more later, but let's bring this up to a simmer and simmer for about 10 minutes. It'll reduce down and concentrate. We have had it sitting on the stove, so all those flavors have really developed and come together, but let's see what it tastes like after about 10 minutes. My sauce is simmering down in the back, but I've strained my stock here, and I have these really cool silicone containers. It's 250 milliliters. So basically I'm gonna pour the stock in here, pop it in the freezer, and then when I need a cup or 2 of stock, I just take one of these out, use it for my cooking, and I store the stock in the freezer. So without making a total mess, I'm gonna go ahead and add it here. I said it usually makes about 4 to 6 cups of stock, so I think we use probably a little over a cup in our sauce. And there we go, I got 4 cups there. I have another mold here I'll do. See how many cups we get out of this. I did have my pot initially filled to the top, and you saw how much it reduced down, but looks like I still got, yeah, just about 8 cups out of this. So that's great. Let this cool down a little bit more, pop it in the freezer, and you got seafood stock ready to go for your next recipe. Okay, so after about 10 minutes, look at how smooth and luscious this sauce is. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a taste carefully. Salty, spicy, kind of umami from that Worcestershire sauce in there. Great flavor. You see how the sauce is separating a little bit as I stop whisking? That's perfectly fine. You give it a little whisk. The butter and the stock kind of mix back together and you have a nice smooth sauce. Now it's time to get our boil bins ready. So I have andouille sausage cut up into about, 16, 20 pieces or so. And I have a couple ears of corn cut up. And here's my shrimp. I have full, probably size 13 to 15 shrimp, easy peel. I'm gonna leave the shell on for flavor. And I'm gonna go ahead and give it some Old Bay. This is probably just over 2 pounds of shrimp. I'm only doing shrimp today, but you can easily adapt this recipe with crab legs, with lobster tail. You can add different seafood, even mussels would work. Get a little more pepper here, full on. Cool. And some seasoned salt. Give this a shake around. Make sure all the shrimp are nice and coated. And I also have some baby potatoes here. I'm actually gonna quickly parboil these and then toss them in some seasonings so that they cook evenly while the shrimp cooks. If I put them in raw with the shrimp, they may not be soft enough, so I'm gonna just parboil them tender enough where you could barely pierce it with a fork and then add them to the mixture. So shrimp, sausage, corn, potatoes, that's what I'm doing for my boil bins. So I have enough today just for 2 people. Time to assemble the boil bins. Okay, so I'm making 2 bins. The one over here is gonna have a little bit more. This is gonna be my husband's, and this is gonna be my plate over here. So I'm gonna try to evenly distribute everything here, except for maybe a little bit more in his. So we'll give him extra corn. Roughly count the sausage pieces that you got. And I said before I have a little over 2 pounds of shrimp. So these are like 15. $15 per pound. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And I'll give him some extra sausage. And have a little extra butter. Okay, now remember our sauce. All right, so if it separates here, you can see it a little bit here, okay? All I'm gonna do is whisk it back together. You can't see any of the onion. Remember how I said, you know, cook it down so it just dissolves in the sauce? You can't see any of the onions or garlic. So I'm gonna give each boil bin a couple ladles of this amazing garlic butter sauce. And then we gotta give everything a good toss. My oven is preheated to 400 degrees. These are gonna go in for probably about 20 to 25 minutes. We'll check the shrimp maybe at 20 minutes. These are pretty big shrimp, so depending on the size of your shrimp, you may need to go a little bit longer or a little bit shorter. Make sure you get everything in the sauce. All right, and you do want it saucy, so you can kind of like swipe your seafood through the sauce at the bottom once it's done. A little extra. All right, and then we have to cover these up. All right, so we want everything to steam in the boil bin, just like if it was in the boil bag, remember? We're trying to just replicate that. So we're gonna cover it up. 400 degree oven, 20 minutes, we'll check it out and I'll come back. While the boil bins are in the oven, I'm getting my wine pairing ready. So first of the season, I'm gonna go with the Summer in a Bottle from Wolfer Estate, Long Island version, not the French version. Although I appreciate what they're trying to do, the Long Island version is the best. I get a case every year, check it out. Great seafood wine, great summer wine. We've got about 10 minutes left in the oven, so we'll be right back. Okay, 20 minutes, we're gonna peek. So we still got a little bit ways to go here. Give it a little toss. We're looking for pink shrimp. We don't have that yet. So we're gonna cover it up and it's gonna go back in. 35 minutes total in the oven. Here's the reveal. Amazing pink shrimp. Corn is tender, potatoes are tender. And we're just gonna hit it with a little bit of lemon juice to spruce it up. And some fresh parsley at the end. And we're ready to serve. Okay, one last thing, y'all. the extra butter sauce from each of your boil bins, don't throw it away. Put it in a container, save it for another recipe, round 2 recipe. You're gonna make grilled lobster tail with the Cajun butter sauce. But guess what? You already have it made. It's in the fridge.